Okay, this is Adam Netzer with Visible, and we have wow, it's been 5 months, I think, since we did that audit with Go Cleaning in the UK, and we have James here again to talk about the results of the, I don't know if you want to call it homework assignment, the long list of SEO recommendations that we had made over the course of a 2-hour webinar, and love to hear about the progress and all the work that you've done, if there's anything outstanding, but also obviously we want to hear about the results and how things have been going since then, because a lot's changed in those 5 months. We moved, we just got the new house. The big monster PC back here is finally built, and there's been a big change, a stealth algorithm change that Google launched around May, just after we had our webinar. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and give you some more homework to take with you. Uh,
Brilliant.
so yeah, so I'm sure you probably weren't expecting that, but I wanted, just for the audience, I want to be very clear here. How much have you invested in me? How much have you paid for our services?
Absolutely nothing. You've been kind enough to give us some advice free of charge. So I'm more than happy to jump on a podcast to do that. And yeah, couldn't be clearer than that. You've given it us for free. So yeah, we're really pleased with that and have seen a lot of progress with the homework you gave us before. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. I just want to be very clear that you have not invested in any of our services. You're not paying me to say anything that you're going to be talking about. This was, I think it was Booking Koala or ZenMaid, one of those forums, correct?
Yeah, booking koala, yeah, it was.
Okay, so you had posted some question about SEO. It's been 5 months, so I don't even remember specifically what it was, but I had offered, well, why don't we do an audit and post it for everybody to see so everybody can benefit? And you were so generous to openly and publicly share in your experience. And the trade-off is, obviously it helps our brand to put some content out there, but this is nothing. There's no exchange of finances whatsoever for this. This was just a free audit that we did. And let's go. Let's talk about the results. That if you want to share your screen too, we can certainly.
Sure, yeah, let's do it. Let me just work out
Yeah.
how to do this.
Should have the option in the window. You should
Yeah,
see the
I've got
share
it.
button.
I've got it.
All right, great.
So, I mean, this is our position map now. In the original podcast that we did, obviously you ran it through a different tool. But just, I mean, compared to the last one, we've seen some massive improvements, as you can see here. So our business is based just here in. Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah, so just here where the central one is, we were ranking in any of in the top three results, pretty much anywhere apart from maybe here and here, right around where we're based, which most people would get anyway. But this is for how the keyword house cleaning Coventry, which is searched for a lot. Which has a good amount of volume, so it's a pretty good indicator of how we're doing. Um, so yeah, this is the map.
That's fantastic to see that kind of growth. And for folks that are not familiar with these geogrids, these are not ranking. Every section in search has different weighing factors. When you run a search for anything that Google considers local search intent, like plumber near me, even just putting the word plumber, Google automatically assumes near me. Pizza place, pet groomer, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, house cleaning. What this represents is, you've got your paid ads that usually come up first, and then you have your local 3-pack, which is the coveted place you want to get into, which is where, reviews are seen. There might be a phone number. It's very intuitive. And then you have that long list of 100, typically, depending on what you have it set for, but usually 100 results of that boring wall of text. That's the organic section. Most SEO agencies are trying to get you ranked, and their reports are based on the organic section because it's very easy to get into the first page of Google, which you see a lot of these agencies advertising for. These heat maps, geogrids, that come in a different bunch of different names. These are your rankings in that critical three pack where about 70% of organic consumers are shopping. And that's where you really want, they talk about location, location, location. Well, in the digital world, location is all about getting your business in that critical three pack. So what these numbers represent, one, obviously being your position one in the three pack, two, number two, three, number three. And the reason why they're green is to show you that you've made it into that three pack in the exact longitude and latitude of where these nodes are. And then if you're outside of it, it might be orange, like you see a four over there on the right hand side, and that means you're just out of it. And that's tough because if you're fourth, you might as well be 44th because you're not going to be seen in that three pack. It's so critical to be in that three pack. So these are not the organic listings below the three pack. This is all about your ranking for the three pack. And to go from virtually zero to having this large area in which you're actually now showing up in the three pack, that's had to have a significant impact on organic, which is obviously the lowest cost traffic you can get outside of obviously word of mouth. But talk to me about what you're seeing with regards to phone calls coming in, any revenue numbers you can share. How has this improved since the 5 months?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a great improvement. So, we're noticing a lot more calls from our business profile. Obviously it's been, as you say, it was March when we last spoken. So, over 6 months now, right? And since we spoke the first time, we've seen like basically our profits overall have doubled. And we are doing absolutely no paid marketing at all. The only things we get leads from are basically Google, and we share in some like local community Facebook groups. But in terms of the other marketing we did, that hasn't changed since we spoke in March. So I'm sure you could say that all this work we've put into SEO has contributed to a lot of that growth that we've seen.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. A whopping 100% increase. That's
Yeah, I
fantastic.
mean, it's as I say, when we first spoke, we were nowhere near any of these three packs at all. And even you can look on this map, even here. I mean, this one here must be 20 miles away from where we are, and we're still managing to get into the three pack there. So we're seeing some really good growth all around. Obviously, trying to get these orange ones green. We've still got more things to do. Obviously, you're going to discuss some of the updates later on. But there's also some of the things I've been suggested to do. So I might actually run those by you as well, because as we spoke about on our first podcast, a lot of SEO agencies will give you incorrect advice. They don't really understand everything about how Google works, and yeah, so it'd be good to get your thoughts on a couple of those things as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, this is incredible because you know, just to see that kind of movement with what you've done is amazing. There's still schema. I checked your schema. The schema needs to be worked on. That's the hardest part because you're talking HTML code. It has to be put specifically in the header of the page. A lot of people will use like a Yoast SEO rank math or something like that to generate the SEO, but it's woefully ineffective, and it applies that same exact data to every single page on the site when your pages are uniquely different. And you're supposed to, schema tells the crawlers what the page is about. And if you're applying the same exact schema across every page, you're basically telling the crawlers this page is no different than the other page. And so that's a big issue right there. But of course, we haven't done any work, any paid work as far as off-site content. So there's a lot of, for example, we have a service that we provide. It's a one-time service. It's a build out of a bunch of off-site assets that corroborate who you are, what you do, and where you do it. And that will have a significant impact on getting some of those areas that you currently have as orange into the green, as well as the new algorithm change that if you make these changes that we're going to talk about. And I want to jump right into this because it is major. And what's really telling is that the marketing agent, the marketing forums, even SEO specific forums are not talking about this because they have no idea of this algorithm change. But we caught it. So let's dive into that because it is so significant. We did a cleaning company in Austin, Texas, and they were a brand new company that came to us. So we didn't do any other SEO because now, because of this algorithm change, it is so profound that we will not, for ethical reasons, take on any new client unless they agree to have their site restructured to fit this algorithm. Now, I don't care if they don't use our web designer. We just recently had to bring web design in-house because of this algorithm change. That's how significant it is. But I really don't want to be doing a lot of web design. So I prefer if someone had a business already had a good relationship with their web designer, we will guide the web designer. We will give them everything they need to know to make the structural changes. In the worst case scenario, if they don't have one or they had a falling out with their web designer or whatever. I even have an electric company in California where their web designer unfortunately passed away during COVID. There are times when somebody doesn't have a web designer. As a last resort, we will offer our services, but we're not really trying to become a web design company. So that being said, let's dive into this because it's incredible what happened with Austin because we took a GeoGrid report similar to this prior to making the changes. And then we made just that structural change to the website for the new algorithm change that happened in May. And then we waited a week for, you got to wait for Google to recrawl the pages and everything. So we gave it a week. We published the sitemap and did everything we could to get Google to crawl the pages, but you still have to wait. And then we ran the GeoGrid report again and saw a significant jump in rankings just between the two, where all we did was this site restructure. So let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here.
Should I start mine for now?
Yeah, well, I think I can just override it when I hit share. I'm just moving the site over. So let's see here. Share my screen. And here it is. Okay. Now, I hope I picked the right monitor. We just got a fourth monitor. So
Yeah, I can see. I
you
can
see your
see.
website up here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, perfect. All right. So you have the locations here, but you see what you did? What it was you put all these major cities like on this page. What we need to do is have dedicated location pages. And that doesn't mean for every little neighborhood, master plan community, census designated area. They come in different terms depending on country and province and state and all that stuff. They have different names for them, but you want to list them like you have here, all those neighborhoods, but the major cities that have a bunch of neighborhoods in them, these need to have dedicated pages. Now, in the past, so many web designers and SEO agencies would over optimize. What they would do is, let's say you had 5 cities and you had 5 services, they would create 25 pages. They would create a service page, an identical service page for each of those location pages. You don't need to do that. Less is more. But you need to definitely isolate these major cities. So, for example, I'll just show you what we did for Austin Cleaning Crew, their location pages. So, and there's not a lot of content here. It's not about the content, it's the association. So in the specific Austin city location, you have the links to the service pages. That's all you need to do is just simply link to the services pages. And then there'll be a section where it lists the neighborhoods. Now, we didn't do the web design on this. This was done by another web designer. I probably would have shortened the space between these. It doesn't need to be, take up so much of the page. Example of one that we just started, or we just finished on the service pages here. This one's in Las Vegas. This was a site that we actually did build. We have the neighborhoods are a little tightly packed together, so it's taking up a much smaller section of the page. Okay, but then again, we have the links to the service pages, and then from the service pages, it will link to the location pages right here. Okay. And then you make the specific word of the city a hyperlink because that provides the topical relevance that it's specifically we're servicing the Boulder City area or Henderson, et cetera. And you can use a miscellaneous anchor, which is a learn more button or buy now button or anything like that as well to also link there. But you see how there's now association between on the service pages, you have links to the location pages, and then on the location pages, you have links to the service pages. Okay. We think, of course, Google doesn't share this, but we think the reason why Google's really trying to optimize for this instead of having all those like 25 pages if you have 5 locations and 5 services is because less is more. Google can't, we talked about this before with crawl budget, Google can't be crawling all these pages. They don't have the bandwidth for it. So they want you to be more efficient in the way that you're creating associations and internal linking between your services and the locations in which you provide those services. A perfect example are gyms. I don't know in your area of Great Britain, but here in the United States, we have these big franchises like 24 Hour Fitness, Planet Fitness. Now, a lot of these locations don't provide the same services. Some of them have tanning rooms, some of them don't. Some of them have swimming pools, some of them don't. Some of them actually have staffed daycare rooms where you could drop your kids off and then go work out. Some of them don't. So by isolating specific locations and then explaining to Google what services are offered at each of those locations, it helps Google to say, hey, this company is going to specifically inform the audience, the consumers out there, what services are provided where. Now, of course, with a lot of home services businesses, plumbing, house cleaning, etc., most of the time you're going to be providing the same exact services to every location. There are exceptions though. Some of my house cleaning companies offer, they have a technician with a specialized truck and all the equipment to do carpet cleaning, but it might not be all the technicians that offer that. And that technician works in a specific area of a city and they have a geography that they're only willing to cover. And so there may be situations even in the house cleaning industry or cleaning industry where there may be specific services only offered in certain areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. That's applicable to us as well. So we do like regular domestic cleans in Coventry. But you know, the areas we cover around Coventry, most of the time we're going to have teams, you know, traveling to these outside locations to go there. So if some of the locations that we do cover, which are, you know, the furthest away, we don't actually offer standard cleaning there, like as in regular domestic stuff. It would more just be like one-off cleans, like, you know, move in, move out cleans, deep cleans. So I can see how that would apply to us.
Gotcha. Yeah, because if you're going to travel, you want to make sure that it's a more profitable service.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to cover your expenses for the travel. So that makes sense. So how do you know what is, what cities are worthwhile to or are justified of having their own location page? Like, how do we know? Like here in the Las Vegas Valley, a lot of people don't realize it. They just think all of Las Vegas. They fly overhead and they see this big, circular shaped city and they think it's just one city, but it's actually, we have Henderson and then we also have Las Vegas. And then we also have North Las Vegas, which is another incorporated city. But this specific pest control business does not want to travel because they're more located on the southern side of the city, so they don't want to travel that far. So they're actually a little closer to Boulder City than they are to North Las Vegas. So every business is different. And that's a dialogue that the agency should be having with the business to really isolate the locations that you are looking to service or provide your services, and then tailor accordingly the location pages. There's two types of location pages. There's a location landing page. That's a page where you actually have a Google business profile that you would be linking directly to it. Often that's going to be your largest city or where you're kind of, centrally headquartered or whatever. So that might be Coventry for you, for example. Then you're going to have all the others being supporting location pages. Okay. And those are simply location pages that are worthy to be there, but they don't actually have a Google Business Profile linking to them. Okay. So how do we identify that? Well, we actually have tools, and what I'm happy to do for you, just because again you're providing the courtesy of sharing this experience with everybody online. I will run that tool that we have to based on the radius that we know you operate in, that will pull the number the cities that are worthy of having their location pages. Okay. Now, we have to then go further, okay? Because if I'm running a search, and I'll just do, maid service, Las Vegas, for example. Why do we need to go one level deeper into neighborhoods? Well, you see right down here, you see this? You still see my screen? See where it says Centennial Hills? Well, we just
Yes, yeah.
bought a house, so we moved, but we used to be in the lakes. The lakes is also considered part of Las Vegas. It's like, I don't know, 15 miles south of here. So it used to say the lakes, and then now that we moved up into Centennial Hills in the northwest part of the city, it now says Centennial Hills. Google understands you're not just in a specific city, you're in a specific neighborhood, master plan community, census designated area, whatever they're going to call it inside that city. So if you're able to create a list of all of those communities and neighborhoods that are inside and specifically inside that city, and then you don't need pages for those, but you put that on their respective location pages as simply list items. So think of them like a bulleted list, so to speak. So it's just the HTML code is like LI, so it's a list format. Okay. You do that and you're adding additional relevance to the search engines that, yes, not only in this case Las Vegas, they service Las Vegas, but they also service Centennial Hills. They're mentioning that on the site. Very, very important. So we leverage ChatGPT, although it's not perfect. It's really frustrating because I will literally ask ChatGPT to give me all neighborhoods, census designated areas, and master plan communities in a specific city, and it'll give me a long list. But then it'll also throw a bunch of them that are not part of that city from the exact boundary standpoint. And then I wanted to see if it will know which ones. So I didn't tell it which ones were incorrect. I simply said some of the ones on this list are not correct. Please correct. It came back and apologized to me, which I thought was very nice. I thought it was courteous that it literally said, "I'm sorry, you are correct." And then it created a new list and it actually grabbed the ones that were not correct and took them off. Why? It's like, why did it not get it right the first time? See, the thing is with AI, one of my biggest fears is not that it's going to be taking up all these jobs. You see, all in the entire course of human history, any new advancement, yes, certainly eliminated jobs, but it also created even more jobs. You look at the old Pony Express, and now we have UPS and FedEx with hundreds of thousands of employees, way more than the Pony Express ever had, right? So I'm never in fear of technology eliminating jobs and causing mass unemployment. People are just going to have to adapt and they'll find new ways to make money. My biggest fear is that we already have an epidemic, at least in this country, but I'm sure it's a global problem, where information just becomes so easy that we've relaxed our trust but verify, part of our mental flow chart. So we take everything that is absorbed, especially if it appeals to our confirmation bias. We see this all the time in politics. I don't want to get political, but we see this all the time where if it looks good, if it seems like it checks out, we just accept it. And I think that's going to get a lot worse and has already gotten worse with AI because people are naturally thinking, well, AI is just a more advanced form of Google search because now it's checking everything on the internet, so it must be more accurate. But a lot of times it's not. And so we have to be very mindful of that. Now, it's really hard for me because I can't be in every city. I'm in 4 continents and over 20 different countries as far as where my clients are. I don't know the neighborhoods. They know the neighborhoods a lot better than I do. So it has to be a team effort. And this is where the why we get so much better results than a typical agency is because we take this as a team approach. Instead of, oh yeah, we're just going to do everything. You pay me money and we're just going to do everything for you. That's not how it works. We need to collaborate. We need to be a team because I'm going to do my best to pull whatever data I can out of not just ChatGPT, but we use sometimes realtor websites. Some of those are really good at pulling out neighborhoods and master plan communities because they're obviously promoting homes in those areas. So we look at a bunch of different sites. We try to cross-reference and see, okay, this seems like this neighborhood's in this place. But there's only so much time we can spend, right? But we do our best to get those neighborhood lists, and then we send it to you. Now, there's another thing that we also do, which is these images here, right, are Google hosted images. So that Google's getting extra relevance saying, okay, this image is definitely, something that was provided, usually in a review somewhere or whatever, people are uploading images in this specific area of Boulder City. It adds another layer of relevance, geographical relevance. Okay. So we painstakingly go through and pull images from these different cities and then provide that to our clients as well. I don't know how long we're going to be able to do this at no charge, but for right now, we've been doing it just because it's really complicated to teach how to pull those images. They have to be specific LH5 or LH3 Google hosted images, and trying to teach business owners or even other agencies on how to effectively get these images. We have to build an SOP for that, a video tutorial, and we haven't done that yet because everything got delayed when we found our house. We were expecting it to take a year based on the housing market to find a house. It ended up being the very first house we saw with our real estate agent. So my wife was like, "Oh, we got to move like now." So everything kind of got flipped upside down as far as our scheduling. We were hoping to get a lot more of these SOPs built by now, but we've been still unpacking. We're not even 100% done yet. Um, so we're going to be building out those SOPs so that we can help train business owners if they want to DIY it themselves, or at least be able to provide to their web designer or somebody, or maybe even somebody on Fiverr really cheap, and they can take the time to watch the SOP and figure out how to pull out these images. Okay. Every little thing matters. It's not, SEO is not just like one thing that's going to just like have a big impact. It's the sum total of a million little things. So when we're starting to optimize for location pages, it's these subtle little things that we're adding that are having a significant impact. Okay. So that's part of it as well. So what we're currently doing for our client right now is we'll usually like an Excel file. We'll put the city name, we'll put the link to the Google hosted image that needs to go inside the blurb or however you want to put it. You could do carousels. There's a lot of stylistic freedom you have that's not going to impact SEO. So it's just a matter of how you want to present it on the page. But you definitely want to hyperlink the name of the city. You don't necessarily need to learn more, but you can do that. You can do both. You can even hyperlink the entire element itself and make everything a hyperlink. But you definitely want to make the city name a hyperlink. That you definitely want to do. So we're doing the Excel file where it'll be the city name, it'll be the Google hosted image, and then it'll be a list of all the neighborhoods to the best of our ability that we can provide that. And then it's the client's responsibility to go look at those neighborhoods and say, oh yeah, that's right. Oh no, actually this neighborhood is mostly part of that. Sometimes some neighborhoods will cross multiple cities. And so what do you do in that case? Well, it's okay to put the neighborhood in both location pages in that case. Okay. You just don't want to look, this isn't always going to be a perfect science, but if you can get it 90% of the way, you're going to be light years ahead of the competition that isn't doing this at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
Okay. So this is the new structure that we want to do. We want to help educate and inform the knowledge graph, not just to Google, but all search engines. Again, these are the locations you service. These are the services you provide at those locations, and this is our brand. And that's what this new structure is. So it's a little different than what you have here. The neighborhoods will take the place here, okay, and the master
Yeah.
plan and all that stuff. But then you will literally have the different cities here as you go down the list. Now, some people ask, well, what happens if I'm multi-location, like completely separate markets? Like we're talking like I'm working right now on a 2 location roofing company. One location is in Houston, the other one is in Austin. So those are completely separate markets, even though they're in the same state. Okay. Well, the home page, the location identifier on the home page is always going to be the largest, the smallest area that covers your complete territory. So in their case, it would be Texas until they expand to the point that they're outside of Texas. But for right now, their homepage SEO title would be Texas, and then their locations are going to have 2 separate markets. They're going to have the Austin market, and then they're going to have the Houston market, and then both of those are going to have their separate city pages between them, and then their neighborhoods under each of those cities. So yeah, if you're multi-location, it's going to start to get, you got to have all these location pages out there. But that's, I mean, you look at Mary Maid, you look at Molly Maid, right? So, you go to Mary Maid Las Vegas, right? That's their location page. Looks like a home page, but if you look very closely, it's marymaids.com/Las Vegas. There's 2 ways you can structure it. You can actually make subdomains. So it could be las-vegas.marymaids.com, or you can do it the folder model. Most circumstances, even though the SEO, like from a cost perspective, could be better if you do separate subdomains, the problem is the logistics in deployment of changes to the website across multiple domains. WordPress, and I'm not familiar with this because again, we're not a web designer, but WordPress, I understand there's some plugins that will allow you to make like template changes and then deploy them across your various subdomains. I'm hesitant to go that route because then you're depending heavily on a more advanced level of skill with the web development company. So most of the companies you will see, whether it's 24-hour heating and air conditioning, whether it's Zero Res, whether it's either Mary Maids or Molly Maids, these big national brands, most of the time they use the folder model for the location pages. Okay. And then they make these location pages look like home pages, but they're actually location pages. Okay. So this is the structure that we want to follow, and because of the impact that it has. And so we're not taking on any new clients unless they agree to work on this. Why? Because when we do our offsite work, we're going to be linking to these location pages. And that's where Mary Maids and Molly Maids gets it wrong. Right now, all of the backlinking juice, all the backlinks are pointing to Mary Maids' homepage almost exclusively. They have very little link distribution. It's so critical to be, if you're trying to optimize for local presence and dominate in the map pack, you need local SEO strategy. And that's where these big national brands are dropping the ball. And that's why I have 100% confidence that I could take any brand and dominate over the big guns in a very short amount of time, because we're optimizing on local SEO and we're optimizing these location pages. These location pages now become your target for SEO. We're not trying to rank your homepage. It's a completely different philosophy now. Your homepage is going to be optimized for your brand. So it'll rank very well when people are searching your brand, but your homepage is your brand page. Your service pages are your service pages, right? We're not even trying to get the service pages to rank because now we have association between the location pages linking to the service pages. Google already knows. You don't have to force feed Google now. You link from the location pages to the service pages, you're done. Okay. You certainly want to optimize your SEO title, your page title, your header tags and everything on the service pages to be structurally sound, to articulate clearly the service you're providing there. But once you're taking that location page and linking to the service page, that's it, you're done. Google knows that you're providing that wealth of knowledge of information of that specific service in that specific location. It's the locations now that you have to focus your attention to for getting ranked. So all of our offsite work, all of our backlinking and everything, we're heavily linking to these location pages. So if we're doing a local blog post in Coventry, it's linking to that Coventry page. Okay. That's how we're getting these businesses to dominate in these areas. And your GeoGrid report, you're going to see so much more green, even though you've already seen a lot more green now, you're going to see even more of it if you adopt this new method. Okay.
Brilliant.
And then you got to you got to change the address on your Google Business Profile because you're no longer linking to the homepage, you're linking to the Coventry page. So that website link, the Go Cleaning knowledge panel on the right-hand side where you have the website button, that website, you got to go into the back end of the account and change that to now what would be Go Cleaning and then slash Coventry. That's where you're going to be linking to. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the new strategy, and unbelievable how much I mean, we went up in for Austin, we went from it was 18 on average or close to 19 on average to 15, position 15 on average. And just one integer going from 18 to 17 is a big jump when you make that much of a change. But going an entire 4 just off of that was tremendous. And I think we're probably going to do a separate YouTube video on the before and after for that, because I got to pull up the dates and everything to make sure I got the right geogrids. But and it wasn't just house cleaning service. It was house cleaning service Austin, for example. They shot up, and like it was multiple searches. They all shot up because of now we're properly helping Google understand here are your services, here are your locations, and drawing that connection. Okay. And now the other thing too is your schema is still broken. You're aware of that, right? You didn't do anything yet with your schema.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I've used, I've tried out some sort of, SEO tools that, run audits on your website. In terms of things like schema, that's a bit out of my ballpark, to be honest, in terms of the sort of knowledge of HTML coding. And I'm sure you don't need like an extensive knowledge, but mine's essentially zero. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I've struggled, I suppose, to push it to that next level.
Well, this is the other thing that changed significantly since we last spoke. I've been on the hunt, and I think I told you before, maybe even in that video, that we've been looking for, gosh, it's probably close to 2 years now, maybe even over 2 years for a schema writer. And we've interviewed so many, we've tested so many, we've gone to Fiverr, we've gone to Upwork, we've had people referred to us. They all claim that they can write schema, and they understand the HTML code, and they can write schema without errors. The problem is that they don't understand the strategy. And the problem, people in general, there's something called golden brained when you're both left and right brained, and it's very, very rare, but most people are either left or right brained. They're either very technical or very creative, very strategic. And so what happens is that we're finding a bunch of technical order takers where you basically tell them, here's what I want, and then they'll write it. That's not what's necessary for SEO. For local SEO, it requires an incredible amount of technical knowledge, but it also equally requires an incredible amount of strategic understanding of what Google's looking for. And the problem is we're not finding that. We have the strategy, but I'm not an HTML writer. My web designer that I just hired, his expertise is not schema, as most web designers are not experts in schema. They're experts in making the page structurally look good, hopefully load fast if they have some good developmental skills as well. They're not schema writers. And so what most people do is they'll use like a Yoast SEO, rank math, and all that stuff, like I mentioned before, and it's screwing everything up. So just to give you an example, do I even have? Here it is. So we're doing Bugworks, which I was showing before here, because we just finished deploying the site, but we have to add the schema to it. And so I just lost the window. Here it is. So we're working on their schema right now. So we went and got this software, schemawriter.ai, amazing software. But again, the software doesn't write the schema itself. There's a lot of free schema writers out there. Like you have the schema markup generator. It's the Merkle one here, but it's missing a bunch of schema types like service schema. You can only choose among the schema that's available here. Okay. And it's free though. So, you get what you pay for, right? This one's got a price tag to it, and I don't recommend any business owner just buying it to write their own schema because it's costly to do that. But this is schema just for the home page. And I just give you a sense of how long this is because we're talking about, isolating all the different zip codes, the different cities, and links to relevance of the city. The actual links to all the city pages. This isn't even on the page. This is off the page. There's more code way off of here. Um, and then all the knows abouts, like all the things related to pest control, and because this is pest control business. And then more information about things that it knows. Then you have information about the owner, question and answer section over here, and you have to match this with the Q&As that are on the page. And then more keywords. And then, of course, the appropriate schema type, home and construction business, and then again the business owner. So there's all of this information, obviously hours of operation, all that stuff's in there as well. Location of the business. So you have not just the generic stuff, but you have incredibly detailed schema. And there's no tools like a plugin in WordPress that is going to deliver schema to this level of detail. Okay. And this stuff, the search engines just absolutely love. And so, but the thing is, this is just the home page. We then have to draft all of the custom schema for all the service pages and all the location pages as well. And I have to create videos and tutorials, how to use the software, how to leverage the strategies, put it all together to create this. It's hours worth of work. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building all the tutorials, training people on it, offering it to web design companies that our clients use so that they can learn how to do it for our clients, because if the clients are going to use their own web designer, then they're going to have to implement the schema. And then what we're also going to do is possibly make this into a course so that schema writers can actually learn proper local SEO schema. And then the ones that perform the best, we may hire them internally. But that's a later thing. But right now we have to deploy schema because no one else is doing it properly. I mean, even the big national brands, I think we probably talked about it before, because Mary Maids is using an old deprecated schema type service business. It's not legit anymore, but even the big brands are screwing up schema. So if you're doing it right, you're going to have a big competitive advantage. And the small business, forget about it. Their schema is usually far worse than Mary Maids and Molly Maids. Okay. So some schema is better than none. This is schema on a whole other level and would give you massive competitive advantage. The problem is it's incredibly labor intensive to be building all this stuff out. Okay. So that's where we're at with regards to schema. I'm looking at this as a 2025 thing. I don't think we're going to be deploying schema as a paid service until then, because we still have to learn the software and incorporate our strategy into the software and then train on it. It's going to take some time. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of work
Ugh.
for sure.
You have no idea how many hours it took. Now, of course, I'm slower because I'm learning the software as I go. Unbelievable how much labor is involved with this. But it's what's good though is once it's done, you don't have to mess with it. So anything that just like the entity asset products we were talking about before, unless you're changing services, adding or removing services, relocating your company, anything really profound like that, going through a brand name change, once these assets are built, you don't have to touch them. So I personally am of the mindset, invest the time to get it done right and complete and fully optimized, and then you don't have to touch it. So that's kind of where we're at with this approach. We want to be able to be the agency that's delivering what everybody else is unwilling to do. I can't tell you how many messages I get a day from agencies asking me to white label our services to do all the nasty, real SEO work because they're doing all the automated stuff that, that they're on a beach in Koh Samui or somewhere else working an hour a week and laughing that they're making thousands of dollars off their clients only working an hour a week. No, that is not going to get that. And that's why so many business owners, when they hire an SEO agency, they might see an improvement because they came from like nothing. So obviously there's some low-hanging fruit. But that low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff that the agencies are doing is only going to get the business so far. And if they're in a competitive market, they're going to hit that wall. And the phone is only going to ring so much if they're still not dominating in that local three pack from a good enough distance away. And that's what's happening. You're falling off the mat. You noticed how you dropped considerably as you get to the center of Coventry, not too far away. As the
Yeah.
population density builds and you have more competitors in that area, that's where your SEO right now has only gotten to a point. You've come a long way taking my guidance, but there's still all of the real nasty work, the hard stuff that needs to get done to push through that barrier and to dominate in the three pack in that area. Okay. And that's just a matter of, what I like to do is educate the business owners, especially the ones that can't afford my services. I want them to have what happened to you, double your revenue so that you can invest in the stuff that you're just not going to be able to do because it's so labor intensive, so technical, so strategic. And I want to position a lot of small businesses to get to that point of revenue and cash flow where they can then take their business to the next level because so many businesses financially can't do it right away. They need to get those quick wins. So that's why I'm putting out all these videos so that they can take a lot of these common denominators, even though that's not, you're not their business, they're not your business, but they're having the same problems that you were having during that first video. So they can leverage all of that insight and fix their business to start getting the phone to ring to then really invest heavily in the more complex SEO. Okay. So awesome to see that these efforts have bared so much fruit, born so much fruit for you. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. At the schema part of it, I will let you know as soon as we're ready to be able to provide this kind of level of schema. But I want to see how well you can take these location pages and start working on that. So as a courtesy, and I can't do this for everybody, I'm just going to do this for you because I want to create this almost like a documentary. I'm gonna have a conversation with you offline. I have another meeting actually in a few minutes that I gotta jump to. But offline, we're gonna set up another time, maybe when you get back or depending on your schedule, because I know you're traveling right now. But we're gonna talk about that territory so that I can properly identify the cities. Then I'll send you the city list, and then you come back to me and say, "Oh no, I'd like to take that city off or this city off, or maybe add one city." And then once we get that finalized city list, I'm going to go ahead and do the work to build out those Google hosted images. I'll pull all those images out for you and do the best that I can with the resources we have as far as getting all those neighborhoods listed out for you. And then I'm going to send you that list so you can have those local pages built out. How's that sound?
That's brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Really appreciate it. I mean, you've done a lot, gave some great advice so far, which as you touched on there, has took us to the next level, and now we're looking, to go to the next level above that, I suppose, and really push it and get into those map packs. So everything you're doing is really helpful, and yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks for again, being willing to be so public and open with your business online. I know that's not easy, but it's a testament to your character. Humility is the greatest demonstration of strength. And to just say, hey, I know my business is not where it needs to be. It's kind of broken online from an SEO standpoint, and I'm willing to just, be naked about it and well, not literally, but figuratively be naked about it and share your experience with the community. It's incredibly, I'm sure, humbling experience, but incredibly empowering experience, and you're being rewarded tremendously for it. So I thank you very much
Definitely,
for sharing with the community, and we're going to have
no
this
problem.
video shared with the BK group and some other groups as well, so everybody can learn from this. And that's it. So any last, well, I have a minute. Any other questions? I think you did say you had one question that you.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a couple of things I've been recommended to do. So anything from, keyword research to embedding Google Maps on pages. To be honest, none of these things you mentioned, which probably tells me they're not as important as it's being made out. But no, I appreciate you've got another meeting to go to. So maybe we set up another call to discuss those few things. In
Well, the
terms of whether
location
they're worth
landing
doing.
page. Yeah, the location landing page where you actually have a physical pin, you can go into Google through the API, you got to create an account and everything, but you can get that map on that page. Absolutely helpful. So I would recommend that. And then,
Okay, brilliant.
yeah, and then the other thing was, what was the other
So
question?
like, basically doing keyword research and then off the back of that, looking into the biggest competitors in your area, and see how they're ranking in keywords and see what they're doing on their websites and with their SEO strategy to see how you can improve yours, which seems like it could be a bit of a dangerous game if you don't really know if what they're doing is good.
Well, it's not so much remember keyword focus because Google left the keyword structured algorithm. They're now on a language learning model. So it's about topical categories, and then you don't want to over optimize for keywords. This is the exact opposite of what agencies are doing now, which is vomiting a whole bunch of content and keywords and blogs. If you ever hear an agency doing that, run away because that's no longer valid anymore. It's really about understanding the new language learning model. So for example, move out cleaning is synonymous with end of tenancy cleaning, right? So deep cleaning, thorough cleaning, domestic house cleaning, same as residential house cleaning, right? So what you want to do is you don't want to over spam the SEO title, which is the tab up at the top, the page title, well in this case up here, the page title, and then the H2s. You want to mix it up. So you got to talk about different, like in this case here, we've got, commercial exterminators and then pest control solutions. You see what I'm saying? So you're using
Yeah.
more along the lines of, because you don't want to keep saying exterminator, exterminator, exterminator across all of the different, the major SEO elements. Okay. So that's where Wikipedia incredibly is helpful because you can go to housekeeping, for example, which is the higher topical category. And then under housekeeping, which I believe we did in the first video, you'll start to see where it talks about, one-off cleaning, recurring cleaning, all of those terminology. You want to get all that in there, but you don't want to keep repeating the same stuff. So that's where you want to kind of optimize for. Don't focus on what the competition is doing, because if you focus more on the new language learning model, you're going to crush them anyway. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as I say, I was sent by an SEO agency a free playbook, and the first thing they mentioned in there was all this stuff about keyword research. And I actually remembered, back to our first conversation we had when you said, yes, keywords have some relevance, but they're not as important as a lot of SEO agencies are making them out to be. So that was a big red flag for me, to be honest, as soon as I saw that. So that's why I wanted to actually run that by you first before I went and actually implemented any of those suggested things.
all right, sounds good. All right, well, thank you so much for jumping on the meeting, and I hope this will be a really beneficial for a lot of folks. And we'll see you in the next one.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Speak to you soon.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.